Welcome, replay viewers, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. We're checking out the purple martin colony here on this beautiful July morning. And all of a sudden, I see we have a fledgling on the ground, so let's go over and take a look at him. I may have to do a rescue here in a few minutes, put him into the fallout shelter. Let's see if I can get close enough to him without disturbing it too much. I'll zoom in rather than trying to frighten him in running away. Thanks. Okay, so there's a brand new nestling that just came out of one of the nests this morning. And his first flight was a crash landing onto the lawn. So I can leave him alone for a while, or I can go get a fine mesh net and some white paper and pick him up and put him into one of the shelters. And then the parents will get him to fly in a little bit. So this little house is what I call a fallout shelter. So if we get any of these birds who are not quite ready to fly, where is he? Let me get him centered here. There he is. Usually what happens is I'll put them in the fallout shelter, and then the parents will actually get this bird to fly within a few hours. But see how he's struggling along the ground here now, flapping. He was flapping his wings. Hi, Andrea. How you doing? Okay, so this is going to be a rescue for us for this morning. I'll just do a quick look up at the houses here. And I'm going to have to end this broadcast shortly then to go get my equipment to rescue that little guy on the ground. And we're looking at adult birds and some new kid birds here on the perches here. So it looks like we had another family fledge this morning. Probably 5 or 6 little ones out of a nest. And this little guy wasn't quite ready to fly yet. So we'll take care of him right now. So I'm going to shut down, and we'll be back on the air a little bit later as soon as I make this rescue, before I lose this one into the water, or a gull or a hawk swoops by down to grab him off the ground. So take care, everybody. I'll be back on the air in a little while. Welcome, replay viewers, and good morning again, everybody. Okay, this is part 2 of our lucky dog. Thank you for joining. This is part 2 of our video this morning. And as you saw in the first video, I had to interrupt that to make a rescue of a little fledgling who was on the ground. So the rescue was successful. And we'll take a walk down there now, and I'll show you what that was all about. The little bird is in one of my fallout shelters. And hopefully within the next hour or two, the parent birds will get him to fly. Get it to fly. I don't know whether it's a male or female. Out of the shelter area here. Now let's walk down here. I'm sorry. Well, they'll fly by to try to get him to fly, and the male, the father or the mother bird will land on the shelter and try to entice this little guy to fly and join his brothers and sisters who are already flying. Oh, thank you very much for that. All right, let's go take a look at our little guy, who I put him in the shelter. And he's right back out on the shelf now, waiting for his parents to come by. No, he's not hurt, Andrea. He's fine. I've been doing this for a long, long time, so we basically know how to handle this. I'll show you what happened. Remember in the earlier broadcast we saw him on the grass here, uh, fluttering around. So I went and I got my fine mesh scap net here. You use this net for killifish and things like that, but what I can do is I can get this net over the baby bird on the ground, and then I pick him up with a piece of paper towel. I cover his head with paper towel so he doesn't see me, so then he won't be squawking as much. And I put him in this cardboard box. But actually today I was able to pick him up with the paper towel and put him directly into the shelter. All right, so there he is. There's a little baby martin who fledged this morning, and he's chirping now for his parents. And his parents, Mom and Dad Martin, will come around to try to collect him with his brothers and sisters, get him to fly. At least this way he's safe from a hawk swooping down or a seagull swooping down and grabbing him off the ground. Yes, you do. Let me show you the two swans. Mom and Dad swan here feeding off the bottom. Although I don't know that they had any offspring this year, these two, this pair. All right, let me walk around, and we won't scare this little guy. The martins are used to me here. All right, so there he is. I'm not going to zoom in and out because we'll get messed up with the broadcast, but he's okay. He's up in the fallout shelter. When you first place them up there, then they run into the shelter itself all the way to the back wall, and they think it's a nest cavity again. And then now he's gotten brave enough to come out and start chirping, and he'll let his parents know that he's here. Oh, there he goes back into the house for a minute. So what we'll do is we'll get one last picture of him, and then we'll back off from here. And then the parent birds will come around to rescue, to get this guy to fly along with his brothers and sisters. I don't know if you can see him in there or not, but he's in the back of the shelter. So these are what we call fallout shelters that I built specifically for this task of rescuing birds off the ground that are not quite ready to fly, and actually give them a fighting chance then to survive. He'll do all right. We'll leave him alone now. Probably in another hour or so he'll be making his first flight. Mr. Swan, why are you hissing at me? You know me. Come on. You guys are well taken care of here with fresh water running in. And all right, this is our resident mute swan pair here in the area. Okay, let me just do a little more of showing you what's happening with the birds. Let's go up to the main house here. Look at all the martins on the perches and everything. All right, so these are quite a few baby birds. Probably ones that fledged this morning, very early this morning. In other words, came out of the nesting cavity to make their first flight today. And then you have male and female adult birds with them. And I see one male sitting there on the right with a moth in his beak. So he's waiting to go into a cavity where the babies are still inside the house and feed his little guys. Thank you very much. Here, let me step away from the housing and everything, and we'll just circle around and show you the flying activity. I'm glad we were able to show that rescue today. This is the fourth rescue that I've done this season in the last 7 days. And you can't have a 100% success rate. I admit to that right away. But we have 3 of the 4 that I've picked up off the ground have survived, which is pretty darn good. Because if I had just left them on the ground, again, they would have been targets for hawks flying through, or seagulls actually go after them. And also, would you believe this, crows will go after them because they're easy pickings. But that's all part of it. We try to help nature out here as best we can, even though I'm defying Captain Kirk's prime directive order of non-interference. As a purple martin landlord, you actually have to get involved and try to help these little guys. And trust me, folks, I've been doing this, hosting purple martin colonies for over 35 years now, so you know they're in good hands and experienced hands here. And as I mentioned last time we broadcast, I fully expect that out of our 3 housing complexes here this season, we will turn out between 180 and 200 baby purple martins. Now, the purple martins are not yet an endangered species, but they are a threatened species because of loss of natural habitat and the fact that now in the eastern United States they nest 99% in housing that we provide to these birds. So we keep the purple martin population going. Okay, these guys will be here for a few more weeks. Maybe as the final ones that will come out will be about a month. And then between August 1st and August 15th, it'll quiet down here, and they will have started their migration back towards South America, primarily to Brazil. And then we'll wait for next spring for the cycle to restart itself. Thanks for joining. It's quite a bit of glare, and I apologize if I'm not answering some of your comments. But I just wanted to share this with you. We're going to have a hot one here on eastern Long Island today. I just saw the forecast to be in the 90 or low 90s. So I guess that means in New York City it's going to be between 95 and 100. Hopefully the sea breeze will come up around noontime here. Okay, thank you again for commenting. I'm just going to pan around slowly, show you our area here. Take a look at the house on the other side of the yard. And there's plenty of activity up there too. There we go. That's my 3rd house. Okay, so I see some babies on a shelf there fluttering their wings. This is interesting. The lower shelf of the house we're looking at right now has 3 babies out on the porch. And I know they're baby purple martins, so by the way they're fluttering their wings. And it looks like the male martin is up on the 3rd floor, and the female just landed. And so they're trying to get these 3 to make their first flight. Look at this. See, the mother bird just landed and tried to get them to fly off. So we're watching a fledging right now as we speak. And there's at least 3 babies out of that nest. So pretty active right now as far as purple martin season. Let's just say goodbye to the swans one more time. And I have to get out of this hot sun right now, folks. Hope you enjoyed this little broadcast today. If it doesn't get too